The parable of the weeds. When Jesus spoke to people, he used an easy way for people to understand. He talked using examples of things that people experience in their daily lives. This is called a parable. Among the parables, perhaps one of the most famous one is the story about the sower. Jesus said that God's kingdom is like seeds being scattered and growing in good soil. Just as seeds fallen on good soil ends up bearing a lot of fruit, the parable is telling us that we also must be like the good soil where seeds of God's words are fallen. But Jesus, after telling the story, tells the people one more story, which is the parable about a sower who throws seeds on good soil. A sower scattered good seeds on the soil. Then that night, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. He was trying to give the owner of the land a difficult time. Weeds are tough and useless. Listening to this story told by Jesus, people must have nodded, agreeing with the fact that there are bad people in the world like the enemy. There actually were people like that back then, so there were even rules that punished people who sowed weeds in other people's fields. On the field, weeds, as well as wheat from good seeds, grew little by little. Until it sprouted, the owner of the field would never have imagined that there would be weeds growing in his field, because the seeds of the wheat and seeds of the weeds are very similar in appearance. When the wheat sprouted and formed heads, that's when the owner's servants discovered the weeds. The workers said to the owner, "Sir, didn't you sow good seeds in your field? Where then did the weeds come from?" Then the owner told his servants, as if it's not the first time this has happened to him. He replied, "An enemy did this." The servants asked the owner if they can pull the weeds out, but the owner told them to just leave them because while you are pulling the weeds, you may uproot the wheat with them. He tells them that even though the weeds may block the sun and take all the nutrients from the soil, they should just leave the weeds until the harvest. He was worried that because weeds are tall and root deep and wide in the soil, pulling them out may lead to also pulling out the wheat. What do you think happened on the harvest day? The owner told the servants to first pull out the weeds, tie them in bundles, then burn them. Then to gather the wheat and bring it into the owner's barn. God's kingdom that Jesus talks about is exactly like this. When we look around us, there are our enemies who steal from people that are kind, like the wheat. God tells us that punishing such people can also harm good people, just like pulling out weeds can harm good crops. So that is why God is waiting until that day of harvest comes when He judges the world.